Hey Boulder, Jan Scott here from our secret workout place where I work out and then do live TV and talk to you. Okay, today the Boulder City Council will be talking about these new co-ops that are proposed. It's a big French story right here in my favorite newspaper, the Daily Cramia, right there. So Boulder has always had kind of a long history of edgy, non-traditional forms of housing. And this really started up on University Hill with the University of Colorado. It started with rooming houses up there. And I lived in a rooming house on, 12th and College when I first moved to Boulder. And before that, I lived in the youth hostel for a while, and then I rented a room in a house. But that's not what they're talking about here. Rooming houses are kind of put together that way. And then if you go up on University Hill, there's all sorts of like apartment buildings, and there are you can rent single rooms in various places. There's all sorts of rental things going on. The problem with University Hill from the time when I got here in 1974, it was then called the Hill Ghetto. It was like Boulder's only ghetto was on the University Hill. And if you go into the alleys and go around all these rooming houses and apartments, there was always trash spilling over. The place is kind of a mess. And it's that way to this day. The fear of most Boulderites right now is that they're going to expand that type of development all over the city with what they now call co-op housing, okay, cooperative housing. And what that means is you'll be allowed to have, 8 or 12 people that are not related in one dwelling. Right now, that's not exactly legal. Right now, you can only have 3 or 4 unrelated people sharing a home. Now, that's not a rooming house. That's just sharing a home. Okay, so the next move with cooperative housing is to let a lot more people do that. And then I think build up to as many as 15 of these a year in the city. Here's the real problem. Most people who own homes in Boulder want it to be in high-density areas like the Hill. They don't want cooperative housing to move into, say, the Sunrise neighborhood or any neighborhood where there are single dwellings. That's a big problem. Boulder has another problem. I mean, you have neighborhoods where developers, they'll buy homes and then they rent them out. So if you go into your average kind of nice neighborhood, middle-class neighborhood, half the homes will be rentals. And if they rent them to irresponsible students or anybody like that, you've got a big problem. Parties, noise, all of that. Who is the co-op housing aimed at? Well, it's aimed at younger people that want to live together that don't have a lot of money. Essentially hippies. Oh, no. Or in my case, it could be a bunch of senior citizens that want to live together and save money. But right now, if you own a house and you're a senior citizen, you can rent 3 other rooms out to 3 other people in your house, help pay the rent, and live together cooperatively that way. This cooperative housing changes everything. It changes things into, like one big religious community, which, Boulder's always had, or bigger. And therein lies the problem. You have to remember now, there's a big push right now for density in Boulder. The Better Boulder people, they've thrown up skyscrapers all over the city. You have huge density all throughout the downtown, all throughout 28th Street. There's traffic congestion, bicycles congested. We don't have enough bike paths that are separated from the highways. So that part's kind of a mess. Now, my thought is, if we do this way, we're just going to add to even more of the congestion. My question is, why can't you just have, rent a house to 3 or 4 people and just let it be that way? Hey, I've owned houses in Boulder, and I've rented it out, to the maximum 3 people. Worked out just fine. We have Airbnb. That seems to work out just fine for people. There are motels. Those seem to work out just fine. There are rooming houses. They work out fine. There are apartment buildings. They work out fine. Isn't the basic problem that Boulder is a university city, and we have, oh, I'm riding my bike incidentally, and we have 20,000 students that come here every semester that rent up all of these little apartments and rooms and everything. Boulder's a university city. We have 40,000 people at the university who come and go. 20,000 of their students are renting all the time. So that is the real, I think that's the real sort of depth to this community in terms of our transient population. A lot of us came here broke, and we worked our way up, and we saved, and we worked, and we decided we wanted to live in Boulder, and we wanted to make this a really terrific city. And Boulder's the kind of place that, nothing's given to you. Nobody's going to hand you anything. You have to work for it, and you have to really want to live in the best city in America. You have to prove yourself here. How about that? Boulder City Attorney Tom Carr wants this new ordinance passed. It probably will get passed. And then he said, then we will see what we can do about enforcing the ordinance. This will be interesting, because Boulder has never been able to occupy these ordinances since I've lived here. People have always complained in the Hill of over-occupancy. There is no enforcement. The Boulder Police Department has zero enforcement for this. Zoning doesn't have any enforcement for it. Hey, I've lived here since 1974. I have never seen the city of Boulder enforce any of these multi-living, codes. Now you're going to expand it to 12 people? You don't think that's going to get out of control? Of course it is. It's already out of control. Am I saying don't do it? No, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying we're going to need some really good enforcement, and you're going to have to enforce it. And then when the enforcement starts, you're going to have all kinds of people protesting that they're being discriminated against. Woo. So Boulder has rental homes all over. People who own homes in Boulder, and then the homes are rented to other people, they're not really happy about that, because renters traditionally don't treat homes as well as they should. Some neighborhoods are kind of a blight. They're kind of a disaster, like the entire Hill neighborhoods with all their multi-use and all these rental units up there. They're just trashed all the time. And the other thing that we need more than anything is we are going to need housing for senior citizens. We have an entire group of boomers who are now just turned 70, the cutting edge. And in the next 10 years, by the time they get to 80, you're going to have thousands of people that are going to need affordable housing in Boulder. Boulder's not doing anything about that. They should. Okay, they're building all these inexpensive units for homeless people who sit in these units and drink. What in God's name are they doing that for? Fortunately, Boulder has enough money they can reverse things. We'll see. Hey, I'm Jan Scott, talk show host. I'm out.